In ancient Greek, immediately after Plato died, among a club of philosophers a problem arose: how should a free-thinking person conduct himself in life? What should he do if he wants to live as a good person, as an honest man, and stand by his principles? Should he remain aloof from the general masses below him? Should he intervene? If he is going to intervene, by what rules? These questions gave birth to Stoicism. While they answered the questions differently, they all agreed that a person must find a source of freedom and goodness within himself. This is an internal peace that comes with being in one with the cosmic order and with oneself. The wise man is free even if he is a slave, as long as he can establish and retain his own internal freedom. If he is his own master, then he has no master. No other man can intimidate him. Passions, fears, greed, desires and so on cannot shake him. He does not feel the slings and arrows of the outrageous fortune. He learns not to worry about chance, or fate or fortune, because he is more autonomous. There arose various strands of Stoicism. One of those strands were the Cynics. Essentially, the Cynics believed in being poor, rude and unconventional, dropping out of society and avoiding family or property and begging to stay alive. It is about avoiding pain, avoiding worry and the anxieties that comes with worldly interest. Seek only pleasure. The pleasure spoken about were not the vulgar sexual pleasures of the body. It was about being satisfied without your own being and your mind. Perhaps the most successful strand of Stoicism was Zeno. Zeno teaches that internal freedom comes in tune with the order of the universe. Perceive the cosmic order and grasp the rolling wheel of the universe and you are free. Zeno taught that you cannot ignore the world outside Bacchus, it is a reflection of the cosmic order. The wise man considers the relationship between the two. It is the wise man's duty to restore and improve the order of the world around. To bring everyday life in line with the cosmic order. To advise political leaders who have power to act and so turn them into philosopher kings. The followers of Zeno did not drop out of society or enjoy private pleasure. They cheerlessly took on the burdens of the world. Epictetus said, "You, O man, you are God's principal work on earth. You are a distinct portion of the essence of God and you contain a certain part of Him in yourself. Why then are you ignorant of your own birth? It is within yourself that you carry God and do not profane Him by unclean thoughts or unclean actions." Stoicism believed in the moral law of nature that governs all people. It had universal appeal and bound many people together. Epictetus was a Greek Stoic philosopher. Despite being a slave, made the most of his life. He established a school and folks from all over the ancient world came to his school to study philosophy. In old age he quit his school to take care of orphan children. Yet, another Stoic philosopher who impressed me early on in my life was Epicurus. Epicureanism argued that pleasure was the chief good in life. Hence, Epicurus advocated living in such a way as to derive the greatest amount of pleasure possible during one's lifetime. Seneca, Cicero, Marcus Aurelius, Pliny, and the other Roman thinkers and literary writers such as Virgil, see his Aeneid, were Stoics. They had what today we would call tough-mindedness. They did not allow spilling of blood, rotten and stinking human bodies, death and dying to prevent them from eating good food. Albert Ellis' cognitive behavior therapy, building on the Roman Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, tell people to desist from seeking other people's attention, to not judge themselves with the parameters of what they think that other people would approve in them. Other people are not responsible for one's survival. Only one is responsible for one's survival. Other people's opinion of one is superfluous. Only a fool worries about what other people think or say about him. I would be a fool to concern myself with the opinion an illiterate Igbo man has of me. In writing this memoir, I am not going to be long-winded and I am not going to be unnecessarily voluminous. I am of the firm view or belief that brevity is virtue when coming to memoir writing. I hate boredom and I am not going to write stuff that will create boredom or bore you. A memoir ought to accomplish two things well. First, it must be distilled like wine. The process of distillation is about sucking only the juice from the grapes and then come the mellowing. Much stuff is taken away, what you are left with is the juice that will then go further to the fermentation process. Memoir writing is great history. It is useful history. I say great and useful history because history is about learning. And memoirs does great job by only focusing on those aspects of a person's to learn from. For example, in studying about the life of Barack Obama, the first might only interested in the 8 years he was living in the White House as president. I may not want to know about his life in Indonesia or whatever. A healthy person, Dr. Ellis writes, should not even for a second consider what other people think of him, but should only consider what is the right behavior, as he understands it, and does it. He said, now knowing that what matters is me accepting me and not whether other people accept or reject me, how do you think I would behave? I would be assertive, that is, say what is in my mind, and not be deterred whether other people liked me or not. In the past, I would be preoccupied with seeking social approval. As long as one is afraid of social rejection, one would conform to the group and the group's leaders, usually sociopath, would control one. Human beings need philosophy, a rational path to life that guides their thinking and enables them to live in a certain manner. They need a philosophy with which to guide their minds, balm their minds, so as to tolerate the world's absurdities as they are. Philosophy gives people a roadmap to guide their lives. Philosophy gives people light with which to see the world, although it does not predict the future. Philosophers are people who look at facts square in their faces and say it as they see it. They do not pretend that lies are truth. In stating facts, they often depress average folks who seem only able to tolerate existence on lies. Leave the masses alone. The masses exist for nothing and should be ignored. It is a waste of time thinking or trying to help the masses. Such help is a waste of time, for they are not ever going to amount to anything but cattle-like existence. Stoicism says that life is what it is, ugly, so do not cry over it. Do not decorate the world with morals and go on pretending that what is ugly is beautiful. The milk is spilled. Do not cry over spilled milk. Do not worry about it, either. Relax, admire the roses and smell them for good aroma and vitality. Robert Schuller was a student of Stoic philosopher Horace, who lived in the time of Emperor Caesar Augustus during the era of the Pax Romana. Horace taught carpe diem. Carpe diem is a Latin concept meaning pluck the day or seize the day. Carpe diem, seize the day, do what you can today, do not postpone anything to tomorrow, live well today, for tomorrow you will die. Life is too short. At the heart of the life principles that Robert Schuller taught was the vital idea that tough times never lasts, but tough people do. The other vital principle of life was that there is joy and happiness in living a simple life. Robert Schuller talked about universal love. And this he picked from the Baha'i religion. Love connects. Love is what glues the many into one. Love is a unifying force. Love is what unifies God and all His creation, children, into a shared self and shared mind. Love unifies. Love is union. God is unified state, God is union. Clearly, you seem separated from me. I am here and you are over there. There is space and time between us. I see this separation between us, I see you as over there. Okay. I decide to love you as I love me. I decide to care for you as I care for me. The most evolved people know that are all connected at the deepest level. They know that when you hurt another person, you are really hurting yourself. They know when you help another person, you are really helping yourself. Even frontier science is now showing this, confirming empirically what the mystics have been saying for thousands of years. Quantum physicists have discovered that the universe is a stunningly interconnected system where everything is in relationship with, and affected by, everything else. The English poet John Donne was speaking truth when he wrote, No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in humankind, and therefore, never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. When a person loves himself, loves other people, cares for himself and cares for other people, he has metaphorically closed the gap that separates him from other people. He has returned to the awareness of union. We, the children of God, children of love, separated from eternal state of union, God, love, and now see ourselves as separated from God and from each other. Originally, we are unified spirit. To love, you have to love yourself first. You have to cultivate self-love. Self-love comes from deep within. Self-love is a deep stream that is quiet and settled. OT flows from deep within, not on the surface by every wind. The man Robert Schuller was raised in a small struggle farm and grew up under difficult times. This is how he relates his upbringing as a boy. Farming life has never been easy. My boyhood farm was a typical Western farm. That meant it was small. The industry was not simple crop farming. The crops were harvested and fed to livestock. Chickens laid the eggs, which we traded for groceries. Cows grazed the grassland along the river that was too difficult to plow. We milked the cows and sold milk. When the hogs reached their prime weight, they were sold at the market. It was a one-crop-a-year farm. That meant we planted the oats and the corn in the springtime and harvested it in the fall, to be gathered into barns and saved for feed for the hogs. In between there was hard work, dedication and patience demanded from us. But in the midst of the hard work, the working up early at dawn and the hardship, we were happy and had a blast of life. I guess true happiness and true inner peace comes from ruggedness and the living of life from a hard angle instead of the soft life displayed in the movies and the red carpets on the tinsel towns of these world. Winter was the worst. I shall never forget the times when we did not have money to buy coal. The trees that surrounded the house were considered precious living creatures that we could sacrifice them for fuel. So we never thought of cutting them down and sawing them up for the wood-burning stove. Instead, it became my job, as a child, to climb into the hog yard among the 100 squirming, squealing hogs. With an empty basket, I collected all the hog feces to be dried and used for fuel. If the soil is fertile and if deep plowing has always been done, good crops will result, other conditions being favorable. If, however, the tillage is poor, scanty harvests will always result. For most soils, a common plow is necessary to break up and pulverize the land. A shallow soil can always be improved by properly deepening it. The principle of greatest importance in soil preparation is the gradual deepening of the soil in order that plant roots may have more comfortable homes. If the farmer has been accustomed to plow but 4 inches deep, he should adjust the plow so as to turn 5 inches at the next plowing, then 6, and so on until the seedbed is 9 or 10 inches deep. This gradual deepening will not injure the soil but will put it quickly in good condition. If to good tillage rotation of crops be added, the soil will become more fertile with each succeeding year. As for the crops, they relied on the rains. And if the rains did not fall sufficiently, the crop will burn and die, all hopes gone, and they face meager living without sufficient food. Yet in all these hardship, life was peaceful. That is the peace that comes from within and is glowing, unlike the peace that people seek externally through buying of luxurious items. We have come to know that kind of peace not only never lasts, but it leads to stress and depression, the emptiness of the heart, and it lives bitterness in the mind. And to some people they end up committing suicide. Majority of the people committing suicide come from the upper echelons of society, in other words, those people who have made it in life. Wealth, luxury and the pampered tinsel town, Hollywood type of life dampen the soul, it leaves the soul tortured. Michael Jackson was a very successful man. Elvis Presley was famously wealthy. What did their lives ended up to? They were tortured and sad in the midst of the fame, the administration and the wealth.